Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah.
Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in a bag of a can. I can make it round the world when it holds in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. It's a popcorn world. It's a popcorn world.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Burn Creek Hall of Famer Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Smith. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
To say that we have a lot to discuss today would be a gross understatement. And yes, there are some people who are looking for nub in all the wrong.
Okay.
And mainly they used to coach for Florida State. Those people. A lot to discuss. We're not even going to waste time at all with banter because I got so many questions right now. As you all know, the Florida State Seminoles played this past weekend. It did not go well. Notre Dame won the game 52-3. That ain't the story. The story is coming out of that game, major changes took place. The offensive coordinator for the Florida State Seminoles, gone. The defensive coordinator for the Florida State Seminoles, gone. The wide receiver coach for the Florida State Seminoles, gone. And by the way, a highly controversial wide receiver coach, just ask Keon Coleman, all gone. We got questions. Who better to answer those questions than our very own Charlie Ward? Charlie, what happened? To your knowledge.
They got let go. I mean, it's when you're in the midst of a 1-9 season. I mean, it felt like they needed changes, new blood, I guess, to the staff. I mean, this is kind of hitting at a lot of different things throughout the year. But the season, of course, has gone down the hill. And with that, at this point, Coach Norville is doing what people do. When you're in charge of an organization, you have to make changes if you're not getting either the production that you're looking for, or you need some new blood in the room, or whatever the case may be, to be able to help move you forward. And so I'm sure he's been doing evaluations for all the time, not just this year, but over the years as well. And the ideal time, if you're going to do it, and what we're starting to see now is, I mean, people are getting let go earlier so that they can either find a spot for the coaches that are being let go, and also for the school to go out and start trying to find the right fit,
Well,
whoever that
Charlie,
right fit
Charlie,
is.
pause right there for a second because I want to add something to my question, and I'm sure kids, you probably think the same thing. The timing is what got me as well. So is it exactly what you said? Is it just to give you time to start looking earlier, or was it to try to maybe salvage something from this year and kind of send a message to the team as well that, hey, there are going to be changes. We're trying to fix what ails us. What do you think was the most important thing, or was it a combination of it all?
Well, I mean, it's a bye week this week, so it was a good week to, if you're going to make changes to the staff, I mean, this is probably the best week so that you can work out whatever you need to work out from an offense and defensive standpoint. You know, whatever that looks like. And then wide receiver coach position. Sure, they have quality control coaches that they can move up to work that part. But they're looking. I'm sure they're looking for new staff. But it's just unfortunate because we always think about production, but a lot of times we forget about. I mean, everyone has families, and
Mm.
definitely understand all of those factors, and it's part of the job, but it's still a factor, And Coach Atkins has a family. Coach Dugans has young kids, right, that they're having to navigate through, and Coach Fuller as well. And so I know they'll go on and find jobs elsewhere in the field if they desire. But it's still the fact that they're having to figure it out, which, like I said, is part of the job, but it's still tough. I mean, I've been in that situation where we've had to, we were traded in the middle of the year, and we had to figure it out. God worked it out to where we ended up not having to go to Phoenix, but we ended up in San Antonio, and we were in a 2-bedroom apartment in San Antonio for 6 months. And just blessed to be able to be there, but it's still, a challenge on the family.
Yeah, that's the part of all of these transactions that people forget about is, especially, I've always wondered that when players get traded, all the logistics that go into that, especially for that player, especially when players get traded multiple times in the season, that's got to be insane. But I almost feel like bye weeks this late in the season are almost dedicated to if you're going to change your staff, because that's when they do it. It's when the bye week late in the season. It's because they want to get a jump on hiring. I'm I can be a little bit cynical. I don't think they really putting much thought into what the former coach's job search or whatever is. I think they're just more these universities are just more concerned with getting that position filled, and so that's more of it than anything. I don't think there is anything to salvage this season. It's just all about with the transfer portal. I think it's all about trying to keep the kids that are the talented kids there and not have them leave hit the transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the deal. Regardless if you win or lose, your best players or better players, leaving for the transfer portal. But I will say there is something to salvage for this year, which is winning 2 games, and one of those games being against another rival, Florida, who is struggling. And when you talk about salvaging the season, it's not going to salvage whether you go to a bowl game or not, but it will give you some momentum heading into the off season. Little, I mean, not a lot, but a little momentum because you've lost like 6 in a row, whatever the number is, and you at least get a chance to win 2 in a row to finish the year. And so I would just say from that standpoint, now we're not talking about going to no bowl, getting over 500. I mean, that's out of the window. But at least you can put together two wins. I don't know if it's solid, but two good wins at this point, to at least have some momentum going into the off season, which there will be more changes. And I just know this is like the biggest turnaround from going 13-0 to where we currently are at 1-9. And I keep seeing all these different things hitting the wire about Deion Sanders and all these other different coaches. I know people doing their jobs. I totally get it. But Coach Norvell was 13-0 last year. And for him to go 1-9 or whatever it is, that just has to say something about the state of the program, which means there's a lot of young players that they had to play and they had to grow up and develop through this season, and it hadn't gone according to plan. With some of the transfers that they brought in to be able to help some of that gap that was missing. So it's been a season that they've had to own and continue to work to get better. So I just say, just like all the time, if things aren't going well in your life, just keep moving and keep living, and keep doing the right things to try to make sure that you're getting the desired results that you want through the process.
I want to go back for just a quick second because you kind of back to the firings, if just for a second. When people are fired in this way, that feels like there's more conversation than just in Mike Norvell's office. Is this a Mike Norvell, AD, everybody's like, we all sit down and let's figure out what's the best thing to do for the program type of conversation? Or is this solely a Mike Norvell to the best of your knowledge?
Well, I mean, every head coach and athletic director, they have their own come to Jesus type meetings.
Yeah.
In the sense of just trying to figure it out. And from what I understand, they're on the same page.
Okay.
As far as the plan of action, because, I mean, the AD has to be on board with what you feel like is best. And so what they have going on now is part of the plan. I mean, I didn't know this was coming, but it actually, happened. So it's just something that, like I said, they all meet. I mean, that's part of the routine, but it's definitely a meeting that's different when you're 1-9, and the AD wants to hear the coach's plan moving forward. And it's hard because Coach Norvell, I think this is his 4th or 5th year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he just got an extension. So I was just looking at something that popped up online, and they were talking about from 2016 or 2013 to 2020 or somewhere 2021, that the NCAA or colleges were paying like $513 million in dead money.
Yeah.
To coaches that they let go.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, I understand the business and all of that, but if they're able to do that, then that means they're making quite a bit, or they're going in debt, one of the two.
Yeah. And donors, like, the big time donors pay a lot of those buyouts. And so, like, Louisville's in that same boat.
Oh, Louisville.
Tell them donors there's a lot of a lot of foundations, charities that would love some of that charity.
Love some of that jazz. This is exactly right.
Right, right.
Boy, this is fascinating to me. How much did Keon Coleman's noise, I'll just say noise, just to be fair to both sides, how much of that hurt the overall understanding of what was going on with this program? Because I'll be honest with you, I was very surprised to hear him come out so blatantly to say that there was that the receivers were coach was problematic and that staff was problematic, and to tell recruits they should not sign at Florida State. That's a wild thing to say from a team that went undefeated where you had success. Because I could argue Keon Coleman would not be in Buffalo had it not been for his time at Florida State. So how much of that did that hurt? How much of did his statement hurt the overall and maybe even aid to this particular thing?
Well, I've heard quite a few people come out and talk about the positive things that they were able to glean from Florida State and the staff. And for one person to have a loud voice, regardless of who it is their voice. I mean, that's their opinion. And I think when it's all said and done, one out of the, let's just say 50, he just happens to be an NFL player, went in the first round. We're grateful because, there are other guys who transferred in and they come back consistently and they support and they talk about the staff. Jermaine Johnson. Just to name one, if you want to go with one-on-one. And so I just think that it depends on the coach, the player's experience. And I don't take his word any bigger than Jermaine Johnson or any other transfer that came in and had success and moved on to their desired field, whatever that field is. And so I just think, when you're 13-0 and you have gripes, then you need to, that's internal. Whatever that internal battle is, and that's your experience as well. So I can't sit here and discredit his experience and what he saw. But we can't also sit here and say there are major issues because he had, his issues, whatever the issues were.
Okay.
You can't put all your eggs in the basket of one man's opinion. I mean, he may have some valid points, and he may have some points that were. I mean, because at the end of the day, he is a young man, and you know how things are. When you're in your 20s, it could be something small that's really not that big a deal that you blow up out of proportion because you're young and don't know any better. So I mean, you do put some stock into what he said, just as far as reevaluating things, but like. You don't take his word as be all end all. Because I know when I was his age, I said stupid stuff too. So
100%, 100%. But I just wanted to address a lot of the stuff that's happening. And then I guess my last thing, because you mentioned it, Charlie, so we definitely want to just kind of cover it. How to the best of your knowledge, how is Mike Norvell handling some of the rumors, and obviously the biggest of those being that he is days away from Deion taking his job. Like, which, by the way, I don't know if I buy that. I get where he is in this moment, Coach Mike Norvell, and I get the public perception of where he is in this moment. It's not great to be in a very unprecedented Florida State situation. That's not a great place to be. However, I don't get that Deion is ready to leave for another collegiate job. Because to be honest with you, I was gonna say if he was gonna leave, I do give credence to the fact that if he has the opportunity to go coach his sons again, that's probably what he's gonna do. especially since the money's going to be insane. You know that. And he's going home. He finally gets to go home. So I just, it doesn't make practical sense for him to go to a Florida State if offered that situation. But I also don't feel like Deion would do that to Mike Norvell. But I don't. Your thoughts? I'll leave it to the two of you. What do you guys think about the rumor aspect of that, and how is Mike Norvell?
Well, here are my thoughts. This time last year, Deion was going through the same thing because they were 4-8 or whatever it was.
Whatever.
It being 4 at that point, and they won their first 3 out of 4 games or whatever it was, and then they struggled down the stretch of games, losing. They're losing games. And this year, when Colorado came in, they were talking about this, prime time on the hot seat, Coach Prime on the hot seat in a sense. And if he didn't win this year, then they would be getting rid of, he'll be moving on. And it's a whole bunch. It's just the narrative just changed all of a sudden. Now that they're 7-2 or whatever they are, and now he's a hot coach because Shador, Travis, all those guys getting ready to leave. And I just think Deion has said, and I have to take him at his word. He said that he's not a pro coach because he don't like trying to coach grown men. He would rather coach young men that he can make an impact on and give them opportunities. And just here with I think it's Joe Platt. He had an interview where he was saying, he's not a follower. He's always been a leader, and he's definitely not following his kids. His job is to be able to, develop them, prepare them for the next level, and allow them to go on and move on. And so I think the kids have been following him. It's like been a package deal. But I think for this season or next season, when Shador and Shiloh and Travis, those guys leave, I think he's still going to be at Colorado. But Coach Norvell, I mean, he's built the program back to where we're competitive for the past couple of years. I know his first couple of years were rough, like this year, but he did continue to build up to a 13-0 season just last season. And so I hear the rumors, I hear all the different things, but when it's all said and done, I think it's good for clickbait. And I don't know if, I won't say that, but it'll be interesting to see because you never know. I mean, in this day and age, you never know what's true, what's not.
Yeah.
But I to me, it just doesn't seem logical for Deion to leave to come to Florida State of all places.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's his alma mater, but he doesn't claim Florida State.
Right.
As his alma mater.
Right. I never. Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, we just wanted to make sure, we got a lot of Florida State viewers on this particular podcast or listeners on this particular podcast. So I just wanted to make sure we covered this efficiently. I think we have.
One thing I will say is I'll be interested in seeing if Coach Norvell relinquishes some of the play calling to the next offensive coordinator. Because I mean, he's doing the play calling now, and I think they're, I don't say stale, but they haven't been as productive this year as they've been in the past. But I'll be interested to see if he relinquishes some of that play calling duties to the new offensive coordinator, whoever that may be.
Yeah. That's such a trust thing. It's going to be interesting to see the process and the plan of what he does going forward. And then it's also going to be interesting, if we're being honest, if he's going to have time to do that. Like depending on how loud the noise gets around the program, and it's bubbling right now. I think we can all admit that it's bubbling.
It also depends on how big his buyout is.
And then that too.
The buyout is massive, and let's just put it to rest. I don't think he's going to be going anywhere this year.
I don't think
I agree. I agree 100%.
That would be, that would be major.
If he hadn't signed that extension last year, maybe. But with him signing that extension last year, that buyout has got to be.
That may have saved his job.
That buyout has got to be massive.
Yeah. Okay, so that was one of the chaotic things that went on this past weekend. The other happened on Tuesday in a weird way. We'll get to the games here in a second, but Tuesday's new CFP ranking was a little odd. And I think we can all understand why Miami dropped. That kind of makes sense, obviously, because they lost that game. I didn't know why SMU dropped from 13 to 14, because SMU didn't do anything. so I didn't understand that. Pitt dropped as well. Louisville actually came up, and so did Clemson. But it sets the stage for an interesting rest of November, because Miami falling back to the pack and Pitt kind of falling back to the pack or whatever, maybe opens the door for some other things to happen. And now that SMU is sitting in the driver's seat, it looks like SMU, all they have to do is just finish what they started, and they will be fine. They'll get into the ACC championship game, but that other spot could be interesting going forward. And so before we get to that part, let's get back. Let's talk about what went down this past weekend. Starting with Friday's game, California and Wake gave us a classic, which we didn't even expect to have from California and Wake. But California has finally made it into the ranks of the ACC teams. They got their first win against Wake Forest this weekend. You guys get a chance to see this one?
Yes, I got an opportunity to see a little bit of it. But it was very, very good game.
Yeah.
I'm glad Cal won because I picked him.
That sounded personal, Charlie.
Nonetheless, it was a good game.
Well, the biggest thing I think that was interesting about this one, Charlie, is that Cal was finally able to close out a game, which they have not really done well all season long. Now, they put a lot on the back of Fernando Mendoza this weekend. He was 40 of 56 for 385 yards.
60 passes he was throwing. So that dude was throwing. He had like 40-something attempts at halftime.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was. He had a crazy day. And not just on the passing, but I think he led them in rushing. He had 51 yards rushing. So he had a long day, and they finally got the win that they've been seeking out all season long. But boy, what a battle it was. Wake Forest was giving them fits for a long time in that game.
Hey, California came across the country and won. The offense traveled.
It finally traveled and sustained. So there you go.
They are such a weird, hard team to evaluate.
yeah, because that was a strange game, but it was a fun game to watch though.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really fun game to watch. Saturday though was a wild day, and maybe no game wilder than Georgia Tech and Miami. They're just a different team when Haynes King is playing. They just are. And this was interesting to me as well because they decided to go with a 2-quarterback system this time. And it worked. Normally that doesn't work as well, but They brought Haynes in basically for the running, and Aaron Philo in for whatever
Passing?
version of
For the
passing that
passing.
was.
Yeah.
And he was only 50%. It wasn't like he tore up the world, but they did just enough to win that game against Miami, which was at the time ranked 4th in the nation. Cam Ward tried to Cam Ward it for him. He tried, but just didn't have enough to get to the finish line. Shout out to Georgia Tech's defense. They played outstanding. I mean, they really, after Miami jumped out to that lead 10-7, they held the line through the rest of that game and just did just enough to win that game and to keep Cam Ward just a little bit off, from his normal Cam Ward type plays. So I heard somebody say he's for sure out of the Heisman race. I don't know if I agree with that.
No.
Because it's still time. It's not like there's not other games.
A month left in the season.
Right.
Yeah,
There's
what were his numbers like?
Well, his numbers were 348, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So I mean, it's not like he had a horrible day. It just wasn't. He just didn't have his usual heroics. And then it also comes down to, I think, how you measure Georgia Tech. Now, we in the ACC say, hey, listen, with Haynes King, they can beat anybody. Without him, it's a totally different team.
And they've got Miami's number. I mean, it's 2 years in a row. And so it's hyperbolic to say he's out of the Heisman race.
Yeah.
I mean, that's wild.
We live in a wild media society, though.
But again, I mean, we were expecting when he got the football. Did y'all expect the results to be the results?
No,
I expected him to win.
No, I fully expected him to win that game.
Exactly. So to me, that just goes to show you, the expectation. And when you don't get the results you desire, it's not like a huge thing when it comes to an individual award anyway. But he still has time, just like all these other players have time to either increase or decrease their chances of getting to New York. But again, if I had to poll them, I'm sure they would be excited about getting to New York, but they would probably be more excited about getting into the playoffs, winning an ACC championship or the conference championship. And then if they can win the Heisman, that'd be great. But I think they're more interested in trying to figure out how they can get in this playoff so they can give a team a chance to be successful. So that's the reason why they want to play well also.
Yeah. Another game that surprised us this weekend, Syracuse and Boston College. First of all, I think Syracuse is finally getting over that we can't travel with our team thing. That Kyle McCord travels and travels well. He just came up a little short this weekend. It was an interesting game because didn't Thomas Castellanos got knocked out this week? Am I correct about that? He got benched. Was it benched? Okay. So I was in and out on this game, so I didn't know if he got knocked out or he got benched. He got benched, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, now he's entering the transfer portal.
It was that effective. Like he just wow.
He left the team, and they said he was just leaving the team. They didn't say he was leaving for good, but then it came out later that he's heading the transfer portal. So there you go.
Wow. So Grayson James will start the rest of the season, it appears.
Apparently, yes. That's somebody else.
Wow.
Well, that's what our coach O'Brien came out and said, that he was going to be starting.
Wow.
So maybe that's another reason why he hit the transfer portal.
Your thoughts?
There's a lot more to this story than we know. I can guarantee.
I was going to say, so just on the limited information that we have now, your thoughts on that unfolding.
But you think
that's odd in a win, but that's the reality of college football in 2024.
But you think about Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
I mean, who he has been when it comes to the quarterback position. Who is coached. he's never coached a player like whatever his name is,
Castellanos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Castellanos. Yeah, like he's never
He generally has pocket passes.
100. And
Yeah.
so this is no surprise. I mean, he was making do for getting a job. I don't know if he got the job late, but getting the job and going with what I think it was the right thing to do, especially at the quarterback position, because you don't want to come in and just move people out of the way. But if you have some grace period first year, you go and see what you have, and Castellanos won a few games for him, or helped him win a few games.
Mhm.
And so I just think, at this point during the season, they're still, I think it may be close to bowl eligibility.
They are.
Mhm.
And so it just gives them a chance to kind of move forward with the quarterback that he probably brought in or he likes, to see what he needs to do moving forward. So to me, I think this is more so about Bill O'Brien, his style, than anything else.
Well,
There may be
let me
some other
just say,
stuff. There may be some other stuff. I don't know, but
no.
I just
I think
know
you're.
the style definitely plays a part in that.
Mhm.
Well, I think you're spot on, Charlie, because stylistically they changed up. Well, not changed up, but they expanded what I think Bill O'Brien really wants to do. I mean, they rushed for 321 yards, and two guys rushed for over 100. Kai Robichaux, I think is his name, 198 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Jordan McDonald, 133 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. They changed up. They took the ball really essentially out of the quarterback's hands, and that may be more indicative of what Syracuse was not able to do, which was clearly stop the run, than it was anything else. It may have just been game plan, but still, that may be what Bill O'Brien wants to do. Is that's ground and pound, control the clock, that kind of thing. So they outlasted Syracuse. They got the win. Lost the starting quarterback in the process, but they got the win. So I would definitely like to, Kendrick, I'd definitely like to know more about Castellanos' future plans, if you will.
Yeah, because you don't go from being the starting and being a really good starting quarterback to getting benched in one game and leaving.
Yeah, that's a wild day. Yeah, that's a wild day.
Some layers to that.
Speaking of another wild day, Clemson got the win against Virginia Tech in a game that actually started out in the first half being a really tight game. Virginia Tech, especially from a defensive perspective, they showed up in that first half. They pretty much shut Clemson out. They no scores in the first half, but the second half kind of got away from them, especially in that third quarter where Clemson was able to score twice, and then and just kind of held on and kind of hunkered down. K. Clemson didn't have the greatest day, 211 yards for 16 of 34 passing. But Phil Maffa had a really strong day. He was 128. Yeah, he's actually starting to run stronger as the end of the season is coming. So which is typical.
He played well in the Louisville game.
Yeah. Which is typical of a long season. Usually that if you have a solid running back, as the season starts to wear down and bodies start to get tired and worn down, that running back's numbers should start to trend up. And Phil Moffitt is definitely doing that. I hate to say this, and I hate to dump on the kid because I don't want to do that, but it does feel like Kyron Jones, is starting to kind of not find his lane. 9 of 20, he had a long day of not maybe the greatest contributions to that team. So
Clemson does have a good defense. I mean, they ran into a buzzsaw against Louisville last week, but 2 weeks ago. But
listen, to your point about Clemson's defense, but the most telling stat of this game is by Shul Tootin, 0 yards. Now I don't know why they didn't go to him. He only had 4 touches, but 0 yards.
Did he get hurt?
Sound like he got hurt.
It feels like he got hurt. I would have to believe
he had to get hurt.
Got hurt.
He had to get hurt.
Right, and if that was the case, then that would explain why, maybe why the score ended up being the way it was, because he has been their offense for most of the season. So, yeah. Duke and North Carolina State. This was the box of chocolates game that you never know what you're going to get. Kendrick, this game saves you for the weekend, by the way. It gave you enough. It doubled your win total because on the guess. And by the way, this was definitely the most 50-50 game of the weekend.
You're not kidding.
Huh?
So you're not kidding.
Man, but Duke pulled it out somehow. Duke is, listen, while I'm saying Duke pulled it out somehow, let me be clear. Duke is 7-3.
Right.
So you got to give Mario Cristobal the credit he deserves. They're 7-3.
No, that's
Manny Diaz.
I mean, Manny,
Diaz.
You know what? I get them both. I hate to be stereotypical, but I see them both and they look the same to me.
They don't look the same.
They don't look the same.
They do to me.
They just both have Miami ties.
Yes.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the Miami thing.
Fred Stanford over there.
I'll take that as a compliment. Is Malik Murphy starting to find himself a little bit? It feels like he is. Malik Murphy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really his first year playing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's taking him some time, and the thing is this is Coach Diaz's first year as well,
Right.
and they've made some. I think the schedule was favorable,
Right.
in a lot of ways to be able to
Yeah.
help them. Which is cool. Sometimes you need that to help build your program.
Mhm.
And so they've taken advantage of it. As we've seen, you still have to go out and play, regardless of who's on the schedule.
Right.
You still have to go out and play. You still have to go out and win. So they've done that. And so is this long-term sustainable type of season, moving forward? I mean, we don't know, but it's a good start to, first year. And I think Malik Murphy addition was big for them because it gave them a quarterback that they felt gave him a chance to win, and he's done that.
And I think he's just seeing the ups and downs of a first-year quarterback. He's had a good year. He's a very solid year.
I was gonna say, but I think we're seeing a lot of up lately. Like he's starting to really find himself. 245 and 2 touchdowns is a pretty good day.
Mississippi State, you never know what you're going to get to.
With them, you never know what you're going to get. They had the most up and down year, second only to Virginia. Nobody saw this coming, I don't think. I think we all had Pitt, especially with this game being at Pitt. You're like, no way, Virginia's winning this game. Virginia's like, hold up here. We got this one. I want to give a shout out to Virginia's defense, to be honest with you. I thought from a defense perspective, they came out and played fantastic because they really gave Holston fits, especially in the secondary. They really gave him fits, and he could not. Go ahead, John.
But Virginia's been playing solid defense for the majority of the
year.
They have.
They absolutely have.
Because at one point, that was what was keeping them in games and helping them, stay close to be able to win those games. So I just think they're so up and down from an offensive standpoint that they're hard to pick.
100%
each week.
Yeah,
100%. I don't know. So Pitt got this game probably. I don't know. This was a tough one for Pitt, but because I think they had this one in the win column before the game started in their mind.
May have been the problem.
Yeah, we should. And listen, they know they got an incredibly tough one coming this weekend. An incredibly critical one coming this weekend. So this may have been a we overlooked that
the trap game
moment trap game. Yeah, typical trap game.
Who are they playing? Clemson?
Yes, they are.
Uh,
So before we get to the who's coming this weekend, our I believe games. Colorado Texas Tech was a good game. Colorado got off to their traditional slow start. It seems like that the formula for Colorado seems to be the same every week. They don't start the greatest in the first quarter, then they figure it out, make all the adjustments, and then they blow you out the rest of the game. And so, but they also give you a little bit of window to come back, which is what they
they tried their hardest to give Texas Tech that game at the end.
By the way, that tortilla thing, I was not aware of that. That is just weird.
I didn't hear about that until later. I still don't know the full details, and I don't think I want to.
Well, for some reason, they got some weird tradition about throwing tortillas on the ground. I don't know where it comes from, but they're literally throwing tortillas onto the field, like round tortillas. They're throwing them on the field. I'm like, what is this? What is this about? Like, I don't get it.
That has to be a hazard, isn't it?
Right.
I would think, but they're not calling penalties for the tortillas. They did call it for the water bottles and other stuff that they were throwing on the field. But the game got real chippy. It got real chippy and real nasty toward the second half. But that tortilla thing is strange. I don't get that at all. And
the NCAA or these conferences, most likely the conferences, really need to come down on this throwing stuff on the field. I mean, if that's a tradition, whatever. But like this season has seen a lot of that going on. And they need to get a hold of that right now.
Especially when coaches have to get on the microphone and tell them to stop. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Texas Tech coach had to do in this game. Say, stop throwing stuff on the field. What are you doing? So, weird moment. The Alabama-LSU game was exactly what you thought it would be.
No, I didn't think it would be 42-13.
But were you surprised that it was 42-13? No. Listen, Brian Kelly can't win the big one. I hate to say it, bro. I know it's a narrative that he doesn't like, a lot of people don't like. But
as a person who lives LSU fan adjacent with a few people in my family who are huge LSU fans and alumni, they are not big fans. They weren't fans of that hiring to begin with. So all this did was just make them feel more righter.
I know a lot of LSU fans that feel exactly the same way.
How many years has Brian Kelly been there?
This is what, year 3?
This is 3 now, I believe.
So if they say they get so upset that they let him go, then they gotta get a whole new staff again.
Yeah,
that's the SEC. They do that. That's kind of what they do. There's a reason why Mark Stoops is the longest tenured coach in the SEC right now.
There is a reason. That is 100%. And then the other game this one was a little bit of a shocker score wise to me, because I thought Ole Miss could win it. I didn't think they would. They dominated it though. They really did.
But let's just take I don't say a deep dive, but let's take a look at Georgia.
I knew you would. I knew you'd want to, Charlie. Let's do that. Let's do that, brother.
So Georgia is a good team. They're not what they used to be, and it's all predicated on their offense. The offensive production this year hasn't been as elite as they needed to be.
And I'm gonna pause you for a reason, because you are the perfect person to ask this question. Has Carson Beck regressed?
He has, and he doesn't look like he's comfortable or confident in what he's doing. I mean, he's literally throwing into triple coverage.
Yeah.
Like, that's not stuff that you normally see from an experienced quarterback with some pedigree behind him coming into the season. And he's doing this like late.
Yeah.
These are not like tip balls.
No.
He's literally throwing into like 3 people. And that's concerning, because most times that just tells me that you're not getting a read on what you're doing, or the defense. So to me, that has been the biggest issue for them is his play. Um, he just hadn't been playing up to par, and I think that goes back to what they've been able to do. And the reason why I feel like that's why SMU got pushed out because I mean there were a couple of top four teams that lost,
Yeah.
and they can't drop them all the way out. So they got to find somebody to push out, to put them on the fringe. But I mean Georgia, I don't know where they stand in the SEC, but I don't see them progressing. They may lose another game. And to me, people are saying they're still one of the top 12 teams. If they lose another game, they shouldn't be a top 12 team.
I mean, it's not
by
out
the
of
way,
the realm for Georgia Tech to beat them at the end of the season. It's not impossible if Haynes King is there.
I was going to say, with Hayes King there, that is more than a possibility. Like it may even be a certainty. But I'll say this: I thought I was seeing the same thing you're seeing, Charlie, and I want to also thank Carson Beck because I am almost 100% sure he was going to be the Giants' next quarterback coming into the season. I'm being serious. Coming into the season, Joe Shane had been to as many Georgia games as he's been to any other game in the country, and that's the GM for the Giants. I was pretty sure he was our next quarterback. And with his play this year, I think he's played himself not only out of that job, but out of the first round altogether.
I don't know. The way you all evaluate that position, it's very
No.
possibly.
The way Gettleman evaluates the position. I don't know how Joe Shane evaluates it yet because he hasn't had a chance. But Carson Beck, I don't know, man. It's been weird to watch him play this season. It's been very, very strange.
Not different when you don't have that safety net at tight end anymore.
But that's the thing, because he's not going to have a safety net at whatever bad team he goes to next year. So you know what I'm saying?
And now he's going to go to a good team.
Well, right now it looks like he may have played himself into a better situation. So. And then I believe NFL games with the Bengals Ravens, which was a classic. I can take Bengals Ravens every week. That's just good football. That's just fun football. Defensively, it sucks, but offensively, it looks amazing.
They could not do anything with Jamar Chase. I mean,
no answers whatsoever.
This dude was.
How's he always open?
That's what I was about to say. It's like, how's this dude always wide open? I mean, he's not open by a slither. He's wide open.
He's one of the few receivers that when he says, "I'm always open," I believe it because he was always open in that game.
Yeah, all receivers say that, but in this case, he's right. He was always wide open.
And by the way, the final play, the 2-point conversion, I absolutely would have threw it to him. I don't think he ever saw it. I think he had in his mind, I'm going to that tight end regardless of what's going to happen in this play.
Shout out to the referees on that play. Oof.
They missed all the calls. That play was the definition of swallowing the whistle. They had no intent to call.
At that point, they had taken the whistles and flags and put them in the box.
I think I saw one referee tuck his whistle inside.
Grandmama gave me that whistle.
That was ugly. Another great game. The Steelers and Commanders was a great game.
Mm-hmm.
The demise of Russell Wilson has been greatly exaggerated, it seems. Now, we'll find out a lot this weekend. Although the Ravens secondary is not the greatest testing ground. But can they beat the Ravens? Can they outscore the Ravens is the real question.
Is Hamilton going to be back for the Ravens?
I'm hearing maybe not.
It's going to be a high-scoring game.
Right. So this could be a high-scoring game for sure. For sure. So with all that being said, that leads us to an interesting conundrum. Let me just tell you that Ravens game saved my behind this weekend.
Lloyd in the lead.
Listen, barely. Let's
Proud of you, brother.
not do victory laps here. It's not
It's a
that.
victory. It's a victory for you. Usually you're out of it by now. You're in the lead.
I'm in the lead. I am in the lead. Barely. So, as we go into this week's game, no Friday games.
I don't know
And no Thursday games. So,
I said mathematically, I don't know where I'm at in this.
You're 2 games behind, sort of, kind of, or 4. I don't know. We'd have to figure it out.
I guess I'm 2 games behind you.
Yeah.
I guess it throws the math off because Charlie has 2 less games.
Because of the BLEAV games.
Yeah.
Yeah, the league game. Yeah. He's in it because of the BLEAV game. So, actually, Charlie had the best week because he went 500. Both of us did not. So, there you go. All right. So, here we go. Everything starts Saturday. One of the biggest. Well, I don't know if this is one of the biggest games, but it is an interesting game because if Louisville wants any chance to take advantage of slippage, they can't lose this game, and they shouldn't lose this game. By the numbers, huh?
Louisville should win out. They should.
I just say by the numbers, this should be a layup. By the numbers, even going to Stanford and playing at would be
12:30.
Huh?
It would be a 12:30 game.
12:30 game there, right? This should be a layup for Louisville just because Stanford has not played well at all. So,
Lloyd, you'll love this. In the Monday press conference, what dominated the questions? The time difference.
Yeah.
When they're playing at 3:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern time, and it's only 12:30 out. So it's not a factor.
It shouldn't be.
It's a factor for Stanford coming out here like they did them against NC State when they played a noon game at NC State. That's when it's a factor. But for an Eastern time zone team playing a 12:30 Pacific time kick, it's just 3:30. It's no difference.
First of all, shame on Vegas for baiting people as they are. That Louisville's a 20-point favorite. 20.5-point favorite, I'm being technical. But they may not be wrong, though.
I was going to say, look at the way Louisville scores. I mean,
I was going to say, but they may not be wrong.
I wouldn't touch it, but I mean, I can see.
Right, it feels like they're baiting people on that one, but we'll see. I'm assuming we're all going Louisville. If everybody wants to change that, they can, but I'm assuming that.
That's a sweep.
Okay, all right. Then we shall move forward. Now, this is the one that I think everybody's going to be paying very close attention to because you can make a case that Clemson has not played great football the last 2 weeks. You can even add to that case that Pitt is angry and they get the game at their place. And emphasis on angry because I know they feel like they let that Virginia game slip away. And they also have a decent quarterback. What are you guys going with on Clemson Pitt?
This will probably be a tough game for Clemson because they're playing on the road, 1, playing at Pitt, 2, conditions, and we don't know what that looks like in November at Pittsburgh. And so I'm not sure if Clemson.
As of right now, Charlie, to your point, 54 degrees. And as of today, at the time of this recording, there is no prediction of rain. But as we all know, in Pittsburgh, that can change overnight. So, yeah.
But I'm gonna go with Clemson.
Okay.
Because they have running game and they have good defense as well. So.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the Clemson mystique has been knocked off since Louisville beat them at their place. They like said we was talking about earlier. Moffa's been playing great football. Have been playing great at running back. You still have Klubnik, who's still good. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say Pitt wins this game. I think Pitt lost last week because they were looking forward to this game. They still have a path to the ACC championship. I mean, pretty much both of these teams' ACC championship aspirations are on the line in this game, and so I'll go with Pitt mainly because they're at home too, even though they lost at home last week. But I'm going with Pitt.
Well, let me say this. The ACC would be thrown into an interesting, chaotic mess, and all the pressure would be on Miami if Pitt wins this game. Because Pitt would have the tiebreaker against Clemson. Louisville would have the tiebreaker against Clemson, which comes down to Louisville and Pitt, and that's just that will come down to record.
Next week.
And they play next week. So it gets really interesting, and I think this is where we're headed. I honestly think this is where we're headed. I think this is a terrible time for Clemson to have to play this game and to not be clicking on all cylinders at this moment. I think Pitt is in good position. So give me Pitt. Yeah, I'm gonna borrow one from Charlie Ward. Give me Pitt at home. All right. Syracuse and Cal. Syracuse coming off a rough loss. California getting their first win. What say you, gentlemen?
What's going on with the times?
It's a noon kick.
I guess they're trying to. Yeah, I guess they're just trying to. Unlike Colorado games, I guess they're trying to get the games in early since there's really no logical reason why they should be playing at 10 o'clock at night.
Well, to them, it's 8.
Right, but to the viewing audience, which is I'm assuming they don't care about ratings for West Coast games. I mean, that's the only thing I can assume.
They do. They care about the ratings on the West Coast.
I'm
They
gonna
play
go with
it at
Cal.
noon. I don't know. Whatever.
Get
I'm
it
going
over
with
with.
Cal.
Yeah. You going with Cal,
Yeah,
Charlie?
I think Cal's going to ride the momentum, the wave.
Okay.
That's another one I'm stuck on, but I'm gonna go Cal.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make it the trifecta on this one. I think Cal may have hopefully figured some things out. They finally closed, which is maybe the most interesting thing of all. This one also makes me interested because Virginia to me has just enough defense to make this game interesting. Even though, and then I don't believe in the 23-point spread of Notre Dame. Is Riley Leonard playing that well? I have not watched the Notre Dame
They've
game.
been blowing teams out lately.
They have, but these are also not great teams that they're blowing out. But
Well, I mean Virginia.
Yeah.
Virginia's not a great team either.
right,
He's comparable offensively with what they're trying to do. Now, from a pass game standpoint, he still needs some work there.
yeah,
I think to be elite, but their run game gives them, great balance, and he passes it well enough, or has receivers that can catch, get open well enough to be able to, compete. But they should be able to beat Virginia.
okay. So you going Notre Dame on that one?
Yes.
All right.
Sweep that.
I'm going to sweep it as well, but I would not be surprised if Virginia made the game a lot tougher than that 23 point favorite that they have there.
No, I wouldn't either.
It would not surprise me. A hot Boston College team takes on SMU.
Team turmoil.
I'm obviously being facetious here. Although, if Bill O'Brien can get that running game going and keep Jennings off the field, this could get interesting. But the fact that this is in Dallas,
Give me SMU.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with SMU.
Definitely taking SMU in this one. In the Oh My God Bowl, we have Wake Forest and North Carolina. This is Once again, this is the most pick'em game possibly have. I don't know what to tell you. It's a night game. I don't know what to say. I honestly don't know what to tell you on this.
I'm gonna go with North Carolina. They've been playing solid football in the last few weeks.
Does Mac Brown stay as a result of his newfound wins?
I think he's going to retire.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
But I do know they've been playing much better defensively. And then offensively, I think Criswell gives them a chance to win. I think he's been playing well to kind of help stabilize that part. And then the Hampton, RJ Hampton, has been terrorizing folks on the ground. So I think they'll win this game. Wake Forest, they have good offense, but their defense is okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with Carolina just because they're at home and that's it.
And I'm going to go Carolina solely because this one will put them in a bowl game, and that being at home motivation is probably all they need to figure out a way to beat Wake Forest. I don't anticipate that they're 12 points better, as the line says, but I do think they got enough to outlast Wake Forest. So there you go. All right, I believe games this week. Oregon and Wisconsin. And the only reason this game interests me is because it's at Wisconsin, and Wisconsin has a lot of Purdue in them. Old school Purdue with Jeff Brom. Like, every year they find one game where they say, we can beat them. And they're not supposed to win that game.
Listen, tonight, the bounce house is going to be jumping. It's going to be a tough game. Shout out to my boy Vinny Anthony returning kicks for Wisconsin.
It's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be far interesting than Oregon probably would like it to be this late in the season. So there you go. Tennessee, Georgia.
Hold on before you go.
Oh, you want to go back, Charlie?
What did Wisconsin do last week?
Let me find that out for you while you guys talk amongst yourselves, and I will find that out for you, Charlie.
Shout out to that guy, Vinny Anthony, Louisville Mail product. I've known him since he was a kid. He's playing great. They put him on return, and he's had some awesome returns this season. It seems like every game. So he's having a great year for Wisconsin. It should be a good game. It's at night at Wisconsin. It's probably gonna be cold.
That would probably be the kicker on why it would be close. But
they did not play last week, I don't believe, Charlie. But the week before, they played Iowa and was beaten 42-10.
My point. So,
but Charlie, that's who they are. That's who they've always been. Wisconsin will lose games that they should be in, and then go win some game that they have no business winning.
Okay.
Not saying that it's going to happen this week. I'm just saying it would be a Wisconsin thing for them to do.
We can do
How
next.
do you give up 42 points to Iowa?
I didn't even think Iowa was capable of scoring 42 points, if I'm just being honest.
Iowa has a new offensive coordinator.
Is that what it is? Okay.
This year.
This one is very interesting because we could essentially see Georgia's demise, or Georgia will make it incredibly difficult to be left out of the college football playoff because they would have beaten three teams who are essentially probably going to be in the college football playoff.
So if Georgia beats Tennessee, right, and Tennessee's number 3, where does Georgia go? Because at this point they have Alabama in the mix.
Yeah.
They have Georgia still in the mix. Ole Miss is still in the mix.
Yeah.
Who am I leaving out?
Texas.
Texas,
yeah.
Still in the mix.
Yeah.
So they have all these teams still in the mix.
Yeah.
And they just keep, I guess this is the reason why they say they're they're the best conference because well they have all the teams. They're top
Yeah.
teams in the
Yeah.
top 12. Um, so they keep beating up on each other. It makes them the best conference. So
I gotta believe if Georgia wins this weekend, they're in.
Yeah, I have to believe that.
Because how do you leave them out?
what if they lose in the SEC championship with 3
I
losses?
don't even think they're going to get to the SEC
I don't think they're
championship.
gonna get. Yeah. I don't think they're gonna get there. Do they have a path to that in tiebreakers? I think they need a lot to happen for them to get in.
Because to me, Tennessee is not the world beaters.
No.
Tennessee
No.
should have lost to Kentucky.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
home.
100%.
So I'm just saying, like, I mean, Tennessee is getting a lot of love, but I don't think they're, really there's no top tier team. I mean, you got South Oregon. They've been beating up on people, but I mean, there are a lot of great teams out there that have lost one loss or potentially 2 losses. So
Well, let's be. Go ahead, Kendrick.
I'm looking at the SEC standings. There still is a path for Georgia to get there because they're 5-2 in the conference, and there's 3 teams ahead of them that have 1 loss. And so if they beat Tennessee, they'll give Tennessee their second loss. So now they're behind Texas and Texas A&M, who each have 1 loss each. So there's still a path, albeit a difficult path with 2 games left, but there's a path.
Well, I want to be very candid when I say this, just based on the eye test. I'm not sure I can take any ranking system seriously that has Penn State at number 4. With all due respect to Penn State, they haven't, from an eye test perspective, I just don't believe they're the 4th best team in the nation. I just don't. But that's where we are, and the Big Ten and the SEC are being gifted these positions by the College Football Ranking Committee to say they're the best or whatever. And I just don't think that they are. When you look at them play, they don't look like what their rankings say they are.
Lord,
I know, Charlie.
who runs the CFP?
I know, Charlie. I know.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way in actuality, in real life, that Penn State should be ranked ahead of an undefeated Indiana and a BYU, especially Indiana, when they've got common opponents, and Indiana just blasted them and Penn State barely won.
Yeah.
Looking at it real quick. So their common opponents, I think Michigan State's one of them.
Yeah.
And then even with Indiana and Ohio State struggled to beat Nebraska, and Indiana beat them 56-7.
I feel like they're not even looking at the games. Like they're just saying, yeah.
They're not.
There's no way you're looking at the games and saying that team is better than that team. There's no way. But I agree with you about Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee is the 3rd best team in the nation. That's crazy to me, but whatever.
And I don't trust Tennessee in a big game anyway.
Yeah. If Tennessee was in any other conference besides SEC, they would be probably 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th.
Yeah, no, 100%.
With their record.
And then the other I believe games this week, we got the Commanders and Eagles, which goes down tonight. Should be a great game. We actually added all the great games this weekend. Commanders, Eagles, Ravens, Steelers, and Chiefs, Bills. All great games. All basically pick'ems. Like, I don't really know. The Chiefs should not be undefeated. I don't know how they keep doing it, but they are, man.
They're the Chiefs.
They're the Chiefs. They are the Chiefs, and they just somehow find a way.
At that point, you just throw your hands up when they win by a blocked field goal.
the part of the best thing you can say about the Chiefs is the part of the 20s New England Patriots will now be played by the Kansas City Chiefs, starring the new Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes.
They just
finds a way.
I say at some point it's going to run out. I mean, they're
doesn't it have to?
They're at a point where they're just barely beating teams and having to find all kind of ways to do it, which is a sign of a good team. But you got to think in the NFL or like the NBA, at some point that runs out. But that goes to show you that
Ran out from Miami in college.
at some point, winning culture, you find ways to win. Losing cultures, you find a way to lose. And so, that just proves the point there.
Well, let's stay with you, Charlie. You, I believe, pick this week. Who you going with? You going college or pro? And then which college game are you going with? Or which pro game are you going with?
I'm going to Bills.
Okay. Oh, you going for the okay.
Bills winning. Man, Josh Allen.
No Keon Coleman, and thought to believe that there's no Dalton Kincaid either. Just want to give you that information before you pick.
They have Josh Allen, though.
They do have Josh Allen. They still have Josh Allen. 100%. 100%.
And the Chiefs, they scored how many points last week?
Oh, gosh. Was it
16?
16. I was going to say, yeah, it wasn't a lot.
It was like 16 to 14.
Yeah.
If you go back and start looking at all their scores from this year, they haven't been putting up a lot of points. I mean,
now the defense is saving the day.
Yes, consistently, I should say. There's some outliers in there, but I just think going on the road playing, it's going to be cold, of course, in Buffalo. Yeah. It's always cold there, even in the summertime.
Right. Even in the summertime.
But I think Buffalo is going to knock them down.
I don't know if I disagree with that.
Winning horse.
I just gotta. I'm with you, Charlie. I gotta believe at some point, it's all gotta balance out, right? It's gotta.
Looking at the Chiefs' schedule, if it's not this weekend, they may not lose in the regular season if they don't lose this week.
That's the other thing.
I think the Chargers are the last team that might be able to get them. Well, the Broncos will get them again at home. So.
Yeah. All right. So, Kendrick, you going college or pro?
I'm going college.
Okay.
I'm sticking by my word that I don't trust Tennessee in big games.
I was looking at that one too.
I think that's a fair pick. I mean, Georgia and not just Georgia, but a desperate Georgia. They gotta have this one. They can't have any slippage.
I think that game's at night too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I believe it is. I think this is going to be the week I take the layup, and I say that, and then I'm probably going to get my
Oregon.
I think I might have to take the layup because now I may have to take the layup. Although it may not be a layup. Again, I would not be surprised if I lose this game because I don't know. I kind of want to take Ravens Steelers because I have a feeling Ravens have something to prove, and Russell Wilson's moon ball is the perfect game to get your offensive secondary back on track. And then I think Tre'Davious White has something to prove. So, yeah, no Kyle Hamilton this weekend, but I can easily see Tre'Davious White having a big game against George Pickens. So, I don't know. I think I'm going to go. Pickens? I think so.
George Pickens is off the chain.
He is. He's amazing. But the way will we all agree that George has bailed Russell out the past 3 weeks? Like Russell's thrown some balls where you like that should have been intercepted. That stayed in the air far too long for it not to be intercepted. So I don't know. I
don't know. Russ been throwing some dimes lately.
Moon dimes though. Moon dimes.
That's Russell Wilson.
That's Russell Wilson.
That's all his career. He's been throwing moon dimes.
True. That's very true.
He does have about 4 or 5 passes a game though that make you scratch your head.
That make you scratch your head and go, wow.
He's throwing it right at that linebacker.
Right. Just like, what just happened? You know what? Give me the Ravens. I'm gonna stick to the Ravens. I probably should take the layup because the Oregon game, but I just got a sneaking suspicion that Oregon game is gonna go bad. But I just got a sneaking suspicion it's gonna go bad. So anyway, all right, gentlemen, who are we shouting out this week?
Wow,
Can I give
shout
one
out.
just as a collective show? And this is to the great Charlie Ward. First of all, if you're following Charlie Ward on Instagram, his Instagram has been on fire. From the Hope concert, who we are huge Hope fans. Shout out to Hope and her senior recital. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's what I was getting ready to say, but yeah.
Well, no, I'm not trying to steal your shout. I'm not trying to steal your shout. I'm just excited. I'm excited.
You
I
just
love
stole
it.
it.
Well, how about this?
Yes,
Shout
you
out.
were trying.
I'll do mine this way. Shout out to Charlie Graham's Instagram. Now go.
Yeah, I was getting ready to send a shout out to our daughter Hope, who did an amazing job on her senior recital,
Yes.
viola recital.
Yes.
And grateful that I was able to be there with my wife Tanja and our son Caleb, and the grandmothers, Miss Wendy Harding and Miss Willard Ward. So they were
Nice.
all able to be there. So we're grateful for that. Shout out to the FSU Lady Seminoles soccer team for winning the ACC championship one more time.
To the surprise
I
of
should
no
say,
one.
once again,
Yes.
over North Carolina. They had to play their way in this year as opposed to getting their buys, but that was part of the season. So just shout out to them. And I have a shout out next week for something that God has blessed us with. So that'll be next week's shout out.
There you go. There you go.
A foreshadowing shout out.
A foreshadowing. Yeah, I love it.
That's what we call a tease.
I like that. I like that.
I'll give a shout out to the Bellarmine women's basketball team. The Knights are 3-0 for the first time since moving up to D1, coming off an 82-50 road win at Ohio this past Sunday. So
Big win.
All right.
big win for them. They hit the transfer portal, and I mean they've got a ton of new faces, and even more fun with them. Out of their 12 lady roster, like 6 of them are from the state of Kentucky, and most of them are right around Louisville. And so they know each other. I went over there and did a story on them yesterday. And Lloyd, you'll relate to this. But one of their transfer, she played high school at Mercy, and then 2 of their other players went to Sacred Heart. And so
okay.
that is a heated rivalry in girls' sports around here. So the trash talk between the 2 is pretty funny. And so shout out to them, Chancellor Dugan, and my girl Monique Reed used to play. She played at U of L, and she's also a fellow Fern Creek Tiger. She's on the coaching staff at Bellarmine. So shout out to them to a hot start to the season.
Awesome. I want to give a shout out to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know how they're doing this, but my God, they look amazing. It doesn't feel like it's not real. It feels very real. They are playing some incredible basketball right now, and shout out to U of L legend Donovan Mitchell, who is clearly taking the leadership of this team. I'm gonna be honest with you. When he re-signed with them, I was thinking, "What are you doing?" And now that they're playing like this, I'm like, "Oh, my bad. You knew what you were doing."
They got a good, solid young core. I mean,
solid core, phenomenal system. They're all bought in. Kenny Atkins is bringing them along.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely at the right
been
pace.
a big difference.
It looks real. It looks very, very. It looks and feels very, very real.
It feels
So
like
shout out
Garland has finally gotten comfortable in the NBA. I feel like he wasn't really comfortable yet. His first couple.
Darius Garland.
And he's been playing great this year. Donovan's doing what Donovan does. I'm not surprised at anything that Donovan does either. But with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen in there too, I mean, they've got a really good young core.
Yeah.
I think Mobley's been the biggest to me.
100%.
I haven't really seen him play, but I've just seen some highlights. But it looked like he's taking this game to another level, which is help elevate.
100%, Charlie. He is taking a gigantic leap. Like he actually looks like a totally different player. Like he's just smarter, more controlled in his movements and his decision making. They just look like a solid team. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I cannot wait. I think they play the Celtics in about 5 or 6 days. Cannot wait to see that game. I think the Celtics are not
defensively.
Yeah.
Because like defensively with them with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, I mean it's tough to get a basket around the hoop. So
I'm just saying, I think
very tough.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot tougher than people. They're going to be a lot tougher out than people think that they are. So I think it's real. So shout out to them. And then I have a very selfish shout out and a gleeful one. Shout out to my head coach Brian Daboll, who finally made the decision that all Giants fans have been waiting for 6 years. It appears now, stranger things have happened, but it appears we have seen the last of Daniel Jones, and that makes me very happy. So
why are you happy that the man got bent?
because it's been awful. It's been awful, Charlie. It's been awful.
Oh, Charlie, did you watch that Jacksonville game?
No.
That game was as comedically bad of a game you will ever see. Those two teams.
Was that the one in
Germany? Yes. If I'm Germany,
8 o'clock in the morning for me.
If I'm Germany, I'm starting a war for sending that over there.
At 8 o'clock in the morning for me. I'm up at 8 o'clock watching this game going, my God, this is terrible.
It was so bad, but it was hilariously bad.
But here's what makes it worse.
Competitive.
That I was just about to say, that's what made it worse. For 3 quarters, he looked horrible. And then in the fourth quarter, he leads them to overtime. Only to look horrible in the first drive of overtime. But that's Daniel Jones. That is Daniel Jones in a nutshell. But thankfully, this nightmare has finally come to an end.
And that's the magic of the NFL. There's only like 5 good teams in the whole league. But all the games are good because all the teams are just as bad as the other team. So the games are competitive.
Which makes for a nice Sunday afternoon. So, but again, shout out to my Giants for finally, I think, getting this right. Unless something happens and then they decide to do something stupid. But for now, it looks like it's over. So there you go. And then I want to give the last one to Victor Wembanyama.
Oh, he's been
on playing out his mind.
Yeah.
The Spurs have been playing much better. I mean, they scored a lot of points. But I mean, they're giving up a lot of points and they scored a lot of points.
Yeah, they can't defend anybody. But they look good on offense. So
the NBA has been good so far
now.
This season in general. The games have been good in the NBA so far this season. Just worry about so many injuries early on. Zion's out again. Ja Morant's out again. I knew he was hurt. I didn't know he was. It didn't hit me how bad Ja was hurt until I saw him over on the sideline last night.
I was like,
yeah, he was like, he looked like it's, in senior citizens go on walks and those walking sticks they have. That's what Ja had.
It feels like that injury is far worse than they're saying. Like it looks
right. That looks like
he's hobbling. That's not an injury. That's he's hurt.
That looks like second half of the season. Like
speaking of which, thoughts and prayers to Chet Holmgren, man. That's wild to break your hip. That is wild.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine that. I wonder if we're gonna see that kid this season again. Like
probably not.
That's your hip. Like that's wild.
Yeah.
So
feel so bad for that kid because he's been snake bitten since he left Gonzaga.
Yeah.
I mean, broke his foot guarding LeBron in a summer league game. We're like, what are we doing? He gets one good year last year, and then he gets hurt again in his third year. So thoughts and prayers to him. He's actually he's close with Clem and Brent. Has a lot of cousins up there, and so they know him pretty well. And so,
Minnesota.
Yeah. So thoughts and prayers to him so he can get healthy again.
Feels like the entire NBA season is going to come down to who's healthy at the end.
Oh yeah,
because that's kind of where we are right now. Like it's
a shout out to Steph the other night.
Well, you know what?
too.
Shout out to Golden State too for really celebrating Clay the way that he deserved to be. But Steph is a savage. Yeah.
They are playing well. They are playing well
scored.
above expectations this season.
He scored their last 10 points.
Yeah.
and in the only way that Steph Curry could, by the way, just inside, outside, savage threes, shimmies, dances, and shouts.
Yeah, again, he amazing. He's getting better still. He's better every year. Every time LeBron moves, they have to bring up how old he is. But I mean, Steph's not that much younger than LeBron.
He's a hair's age away. It's but he looks phenomenal. Like, goodness gracious. So anyway, just some great sports stuff going on. Going to be a fun weekend. You don't want to miss it. Get in front of a TV and enjoy yourself this weekend. It should be great. We'll come back and do all this next week, and hopefully, I don't know. I don't know if I should be rooting for chaos or. Yeah, let's root for chaos. I like chaos.
Of course, we love chaos.
Yes, we love chaos. There you go. All right.
And somebody else's life.
Right.
It's somebody else's life. Right. We gotta be specific. Somebody else's life, not necessarily ours. Right. Very good point there, Charlie. All right. That's Kendrick Haskins. That's Charlie Ward and Lloyd Spence. This is Believe in the ACC. We'll see you next time. You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us